Hi everybody, and welcome to a new project. I have got some cotton jersey here. This is 100% cotton. But first of all, there's a project that I've had on my mind for a while now. I've been wanting to make a Mennonite dress, something super, super simple. My cousins wear dresses that they make themselves and are fitted specifically to them, and they usually end up looking better than whatever it is I show up in. We can fix that, right? So I found this 100% cotton jersey, which is a knit. And one of the things I really love about this, I purchased it at Dharma Trading Company, and they sell cloth that is ready to dye, which means it doesn't have those chemicals in it that ordinary cloth has that makes it look nice in the store. It doesn't have any of that in it. And it doesn't have any sizing, anything like that would keep it from accepting the dye really well. So that really, there's three things about finding cloth. One, to find the weave you want, which in this case is knit. Secondly, to find the fiber content you want, which is in this case is 100% cotton. And third, to find the color you want, which is just about impossible. Because literally I can be in a fabric store and I can find the jersey I want. I've got a creaky board here. So I can be like in the fabric store and find a jersey and it's cotton, but they don't have a color I like. Or so this is a really great way to buy cloth. So I bought 4 yards of 60-inch wide, 100% cotton jersey knit. And it's got a real nice stretch to it. As you can see, you put it on the bias, it's got quite a bit of stretch. Which way is bias? There we go. So this is a garment, so this is a cloth that won't necessarily require a zipper. It's a good thing, right? I'm just really ready to keep it super, super simple. Okay, so I found a pattern. See if I can avoid the squeaky floorboards here. I found a pattern of a dress that really reminds me of my Mennonite cousins. Sleeves, long skirt, very, very super simple. Very, very super simple. Very, very super simple. And now my auntie wears a cape dress, so it's a little bit different. But the next generation very often will wear just a kind of a simple dress. And so this is kind of a young, modern Mennonite look. I can't believe I'm talking about Mennonite dresses in fashion terms. It's hilarious, isn't it? But anyway, I was looking for something super simple, super minimalist for a number of reasons. Mennonite women tend to look better. Oftentimes Mennonite women will look better dressed because their clothes fit them. They are not wearing fast fashion. There's something timeless about their clothing that they're wearing. Oftentimes I won't like the fabrics, but that's just me. And but oftentimes the cuts are very flattering. So I wanted one of them. So I'm making one. This will be interesting, won't it? I haven't sewn a dress in a really long time, so I am kind of starting with the pattern as kind of a starting place, but it's not gonna look like the picture. It is really not gonna look like the picture. Plus at the end, when I'm finished sewing the dress, then I can dye the dress into whatever color I decide on, or group of colors, and that's part of the process that I think will be fun too. So stick around. Let's see how this happens, how this works. It'll be fun. I hope. Because I haven't sewn a dress in a long time. Yeah, really long time. Really long time. I have washed the cotton jersey for the Mennonite Minimalist dress, and now I'm going to put it in the dryer. If it's going to shrink, I want it to go ahead and get that shrinking done before I make it and fit it to my body, because if I shrink it, if I wash it and it shrinks after I've made it fit me, then it's not going to fit me anymore, and that would kind of suck after all that trouble. So it's not trouble, it's just fun. So on to the next thing. So I put a sheet to cover the piano so that I didn't do any damage to the surface of the instrument. And then I started cutting out the pattern pieces. Now I didn't pay any attention to anything but just the biggest pieces, the skirts and the bodice and the sleeves. We get the skirts here, and we get the front and the back of the bodice and the sleeve down there at the other end of the piano. Okay? Unfortunately, I didn't think to film cutting out the cloth, cutting out the pattern pieces, but I did have 4 yards of 60-inch wide fabric, and I was able to get one dress plus one skirt out of that cloth. Now I can either buy another yard and make another dress, or I can just make an additional skirt out of this cloth. So I cut one front bodice piece, and then I cut another piece that I used on the dress form and draped an additional front. So basically the front of the dress is lined, and I decided to face the neck seams instead of binding them. It's a little bit of a more finished look. And so here I am working on the front neck seam and getting it to lay like I want it to, and pressing that seam and getting it ready to sew. One of the challenges of recording a video this time of year is the window air conditioners make a lot of noise. So I am sorry for the background racket that is so much a part of this video. So we've got blousiness here, which is exactly what I want. So then I need pleats on the shoulders to make this work. I'm going to put one pin right here in the center, and then pin that to the center of the back. Okay, then we're going to separate those pleats and put that one in half. And then same thing here. Every YouTuber should have a dog that lives next door, a beagle that loves to bark. It's actually kind of interesting to point them all up. I think that's working. All down as far as we can go, and then I need to cut off this edge right here because that's how they look right. That's how I like the pleats. So that makes them even with the underside lining. Okay, now that piece is ready to sew. Alright, and now we trim off that extra bit. Make it match the underside pattern piece. So this is the lining, and at this point that's what the front looks like. Without a body underneath, that's what the front looks like. Okay? So I have the shoulders in place, and it's time to go ahead and sew the back piece to the front piece. I think the trick for me in all of this is that when I don't have a pattern directions that are made for the item I'm making, I mean, I started with the pattern, but basically this isn't applicable because I changed the way the bodice was, and instead of putting a binding around, I'm facing it. So I need to make sure I get it in the right order, but that's not readily apparent. I haven't done this in years, so I'm trying to figure out what order things. I've already picked out stuff once. I've picked out 2 seams, 2 little shoulder seams. It's alright, it's not a big deal. It's just it's just that I've got limited time to do this, and I want to get it done, and I want to wear it. So, you know, hopefully I can do it without a lot of seam picking. We'll see. Okay, I've just sewn the back to the facing piece. So we are going to iron it all towards the facing. Cut a few slits so that it lies flat. So that the curve works nicely. And then, actually, it doesn't look like I've got that ironed very well. Let's try again. There we go, that's better. Now it's more likely to stay in place. Now I'm going to come through and sew right along the inside of this seam And that will keep the facing towards the inside. Okay. And then we're just going to steam this in place. Although it doesn't seem to be putting out a lot of steam, does it? Oh, there we go. There's some steam. Okay, so that is the back neck of this little dress. But first I think I'm going to go ahead and baste this in place because that's a lot of pins to keep track of. So I'm just going to go ahead and baste that in place. Okay, I have basted these little tucks in place on the shoulder seam, but what I'm going to come along to do now is put another basting seam right beside it, and then that way it'll keep the pleats in place for when I sew the shoulder seam to the back, the front to the back, okay? And then this one, because obviously it's going to show if I don't, this one will come back out. So let's make sure these are all neatly folded the way I want them. And then we're going to sew another little seam here. It's not really a seam. Just hopefully that will hold it in place. And let's see if it worked. Okay, it didn't work, so we're going to take that little tuck out. I created a tuck. See, this is exactly what I wanted to avoid. But it's not a big deal. Okay, so now that is better than it would have been if I would have just sewed it into the seam without taking this extra step of precaution. It's worth it. It's worth the extra time to do these steps, I think. And this one I'm going to do very slowly. Whoa! And I try to go slow enough that I can get the pins out because I have accidentally hit a pin and broke a needle. And I don't even know if I have more needles right now, so I'm just going to play it safe and not come close to a pin. Or try not to come close to a pin. This is a Brother sewing machine. It's kind of like the Walmart version of a sewing machine, but the beauty of these things are they are so stinking simple. I mean, it's just really amazing how easy. I don't have a knee pedal or a foot pedal, and I do miss that, to be honest, but it's just super cheap. It makes sewing accessible for everybody. These are the shoulders. And I'm going to sew the front to the back. Alright, here we go. We are now sewing the front of the bodice to the back of the bodice. Okay, let's try that. Alright, so I'm going to sew between these two rows of stitches so that less chance that one will show. And then I can pick out the second batch. But that way, we're going to put some back stitches in here, just for extra strength. piece at the back, and this is the side seam under the arm. So I'm going to simply pin this in place, and then I'm going to do a real kind of a broad seam here. I mean, what I mean is I'm going to do a basting stitch here, because if I come along later and want to do some adjustments to the fit, that's the first part that will go. So we'll come along over here. These are the two pieces of the front. I went ahead and did a full lining on the front. So the top has the cool draperies, and the underside is more of a structural piece. And then this is the back piece. Okay, this is what she looks like so far. I wanted this blousey stuff in the front. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out. If it's, I have another dress that has this in the front that I really enjoy wearing. So I think this will work out pretty well, but we'll see. Okay, I can either carry on with the sleeves or add the skirt. What do you think? Yeah, I'm liking it. You can see that the jersey is pretty thick. I've got 2 layers in front and then 1 layer in the back. And you can see the facing. And I haven't decided yet what color I'm going to dye it, but maybe I will wear it white for a while. And then when I get a stain on it, then I'll dye it. Alright, here it is. I don't have the sleeves on yet, but I do have the skirt on. And it's nice and long, comes down to my ankles. And this is what the back looks like. Very simple, except for a little bit of draping in the front. Just a really plain dress. And that's, and then I have the sleeves to do next. And then I'll be, hem it, and then we'll be done. So I think maybe I'll sit down and do the sleeves. I went ahead and hemmed those sleeves. It didn't take but a few minutes. And then later on that evening, while I was watching a documentary, I went ahead and hemmed the skirt. And it was just really relaxing, and I was surprised by how quickly it went. It was over long before I expected it to be, and that's always a nice detail. So I think it came together quite nicely. And I think maybe I'm ready to wear it.